Hi, I'm Joe from Bloomfield, and today we're going to talk about your salt chlorine generator. Okay, so this is your salt chlorine generator. We typically refer to this box as the computer. So if you hear me say that, I'm referring to the part that's hanging on your wall. Some people get overwhelmed by this system, but it is unnecessary because it's actually very straightforward. Any problems you have are listed in the door. Everything you need to know about this machine, it says right here. So the first thing I'm going to point out is the number on the screen. It says 1400. Because this particular model is a low salt generator, we want to produce between 1200 and 1800 parts per million of salt in the pool. So this particular pool is a 26-foot Elegance by Leisure, and when we first install it, it requires about 3 bags of salt to hit 1400 parts per million. Now, if this screen is reading the proper between 12 and 1800 parts per million, it will generate the chlorine you need to keep your pool sanitary. If it drops below 1200, you will start to get errors that say check your salt and things will start flashing. All of you, when that happens, I only ever want you to add half a bag of pool salt that you can get at a pool testing place or Canadian Tire, Costco, but it must say pool salt on it because it is a fine granular, so it dissolves very quickly. You will only ever dump in half a bag at a time, and you dump it directly into the pool. Nothing at your equipment, just dump it right in the pool. And it's safe to swim right away. There's nothing the salt can do. Why we only want to add half a bag at a time is because if you overshoot the 1800, there is not a neutralizer for salt that you can put in the pool. At that point, we are draining some of the water down in the pool to add fresh to get the amount of salt back down. So half a bag, wait a few days, see what the number calculates to, add another half if you need to. But generally, these pools do not require much salt. So just keep an eye on this screen. Nothing happens quickly. Anytime that you're adding salt or chemicals, please wait a day or so before you test again. Sometimes people get oversteering and causing more problems than they need to. So that's this screen, amount of salt. Below it, you will see a little tab here that says superchlorinate, auto, and off. Beside it, you will see a knob that says desired output percentage. It should say of chlorine underneath it. So on this pool, we are asking this system to produce 50% of the chlorine it is capable of doing. Now, how you know if you need more or less chlorine is by taking your pool to pool water testing places and have them check how much chlorine's in your pool, or use dip strips from Canadian Tire, etc. In this particular case, we want this pool's chlorine to be between 1 and 3 parts per million, and that's what the test will tell you. Or the pool supply store will say, I need you to add this much shock to the pool, or please turn up your dial 10%. A good indicator, if you don't have time to do testing, which you all should, but if you don't, if you are swimming and you are smelling chlorine regularly, I want you to turn the knob down 10% until you can get it tested. You should not be smelling chlorine while you're swimming with a pool of this nature. If your pool is always looking a little murky, a little off, try going up 10%. Now, things will change over the seasons. The more sunny days and hot days you have, the more chlorine that needs to be produced because sun burns off chlorine molecules. So during the summer, you may find that this is being turned up higher, or you may be having to add shock according to what the water testing places tell you to do. If you're covering your pool regularly, that helps trap the chlorine in. But my point here is that this is a moving target, and you will have to adjust it spring, summer, fall based on usage. So that's something to look out for. Now, the next thing, errors you can get. The main error we get is this inspect cell will be flashing. And what you do is go to this chart, and you go to inspect cell, flashing, follow where it says. Now, it says reduce cell efficiency, and that's where people stop reading and panic that it's broken. It is not. Let's continue reading. Reduce cell efficiency or Scheduled 3-month cell inspection time. Inspect cell, clean if necessary, and press display button for 3 seconds to turn off flashing indicator. So what it wants you to do is clean out the salt cell. This cell is responsible for actually producing the chlorine based on what the computer tells it to do. All that salt that we know is 1400 parts per million is working its way through the system and getting caught in little webs in this system and then being charged into chlorine molecules. So the residue builds up in here and it wants us to clean it out every 3 months. So to clear the inspect cell flashing error, locate your turbo cell. Most pools we plumb it coming up from the heater in this way. Some pools it goes up behind the filter depending on the space you have. But what we want to do first is just turn our pump off. Hit stop on the pump, and then we need to release the pressure inside the system. So just like cleaning your filters or priming your pool, we're going to open the orange tab from the filter, let all that air in. But our goal right now is to unscrew these two white couplings, open up the cell, hose it out, put it back together, and clear the air. Now, sometimes these will unscrew very easily. Sometimes you're going to be cursing me based on corrosion and buildup inside the cell. So what I recommend to loosen it off, this is a oil filter wrench. I got this one actually Home Depot, made by Husky. You get them at Canadian Tire, whatever. They have nice little teeth on them that fit easily in the valve or in the union. So I'm going to crack this open. Like we've talked about before, putting too much pressure on plastic unions will crack them. So be gentle. On this side, crack it open. Okay. All right, now I got my cell open, and you can see inside that they're little webs. A lot of times those webs are full of what looks like salt. So you can take your hose, hose it out, clean it really well. A slight tap will sometimes loosen the debris. I had actually cleaned this cell not long ago, so there's really nothing in it. But that is the gist of what it wants you to do. Depending on the pool and your usage, it could be just caked with debris inside. There is cleaners that you can buy from pool supply stores for simply cleaning turbo cells out. They'll help to eat the sodium carbonate that's inside and loosen it off. So I got it all cleaned out. I'm happy with it. It looks free of debris. I'm going to tighten it back on. I generally always put the end with the cord on first because the cord is not in a great spot and it can make it troublesome to tighten. So get it on first, nice and tight. I'm trying to do it all by hand if I can because again, the wrenches can cause cracking if getting it too tight. This one, same thing. There's a rubber gasket on them all, I should say. Make sure it's still in place. Lining it up, tightening. Now, if you turn the pump all on and these are dripping, it's generally caused by sand inside the fitting, just like everything else that can drip on this equipment. So turn everything off, open it up, clean it, screw it together again. It's based on alignment more than how tight it is. So everything has to sit properly, not just necessarily be cranked down tight. So this one I think hand tight will work. Now I've done what the machine has asked me to do. Okay, so I would come over here now that we've cleaned it all out, and I would hold down this button that says diagnostics for 3 seconds, and that would clear this inspect cell light if it were flashing, but in this case, ours didn't need to be cleaned yet. Now, just to point out while we're here, see how the red light and it says no flow? That is because the pump is off. That is not an active error that we need to worry about. Once we turn the pump back on, the system will have water flowing through it again. This here's a little flow switch. It's what's telling the system that water is going through the salt cell so that it can operate safely without burning out. Also inside this door, it tells you what all your pH, alkalinity, stabilizer, calcium, chlorine, all your levels should be. Now, if you are a new pool owner, I really want you to rely heavily on like a pool water testing store. There's many of them around. bring water samples in and get them to tell you what you need to add to your pool. Really trust the professionals when it comes to this. Take a picture of the system you have so they know that you're either low salt or a regular salt generator, just so that you're not adding salt based on their description because they don't know what you have. So take a picture of this, take a picture, it says low salt, let them know. They will guide you through your pool chemistry, but your chemistry is very, very important. Do not rely, because this system will keep the water clean for you, do not rely on your pH being balanced and your alkalinity of that just happening naturally. Corrosion in your equipment can happen quite quickly if your pH is out of balance and all these things are out of whack. It's unhealthy for your skin, it hurts your eyes, etc. So please have your water tested regularly, and also save receipts, just like an oil change on your car, so that you can prove that you have been looking after your water in case anything does go wrong with your shell. So I hope now you understand how to use your salt chlorine generator, your cell, how to clear basic errors, and how to control the salt level in your pool and chlorine in your pool. Thanks for watching, and enjoy your pool.